اروي الحديث ولازم أهله فهم الناجون نصا صريحا للرسول نمي سامت منابرهم واحمل محابرهم والزم أكابرهم فيك.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, today I'm standing in front of the main gate of the famous Salafi institution or madrasa known as al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah, which was established in 1921 and got shut down by the British in 1947. This is the main gate. Its founder, Shaykh ar-Rahman, Shaykh ar-Rahman, who was a businessman and who established this madrasa. He would come in the morning after Fajr Salah and he would sit here and watch all the students come to study at this madrasa. Al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah is the same madrasa where Shaykh Abdul Salam Mubarakpuri rahimahullah lived all his life and spent a lot of his life and died in Delhi. So this is one of the classrooms. Obviously in those days they used to sit on the floor. Now it's a government school which is operated here. So this is one of the classrooms where the students would sit. As we all know that the great Shaykh Abdullah al-Qar'awi from Jizan, the Shaykh of the Hafidh al-Hakami, he also studied here in al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah. From amongst the Shaykh that used to teach here was Shaykh Ahmadullah al-Dabghari, known as Shaykh Ahmadullah al-Qurashi, who was the Shaykh al-Hadith, also Shaykh Abdul Salam Mubarakpuri and other great scholars. As we have been studying the seerah of Imam al-Bukhari, and I talked about this madrasa in detail. So we need to understand that, alhamdulillah, this is where many of the great scholars of Islam, they came here. This is just one of the classrooms, and the ulama would teach. From what I have been informed, is that after Salat al-Fajr, there would be some exercise. The students would do exercise, and then they would be given fresh milk with almonds and everything, and then they would come here, and then they would study.
كل مزدحم اسلك منارهم والزم شعار.
I think this is the ground where they would do exercise in the morning. So there is 19 classes in total. This is now operated as a staff room for the government school because the madrasa has now been converted into a government school. So this is the staff room. This was also a classroom during that time. So there's a total of 19 classes. So this is a small garden during that time, which was at the rear side of the madrasa. Maybe the students would come out here and they would sit here. A small, nice garden. So this is the ground where I believe that the students at that time, who turned out to be great scholars, used to probably exercise. So everything is exactly as it is. Only the doors of the classrooms have been changed. Everything is still in its real condition. Students that attend my lessons, that this is the real al-Hadith that we always talk about. But for 20 years, every single student that studied here, and graduated from here, was a polymath, was a mutafannin, meaning that he was a scholar in every single discipline. My Shaykh Zahiruddin Mubarakpuri rahimahullah, who I spent a great amount of time, he graduated from this institution in 1941, the al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah. So the institute, and it got shut down by the British in 47. So it only operated for 20 years. And Shaykh ar-Rahman, the founder, who was a businessman, a Salafi businessman, where he invested a lot of his money into this institute. It has been narrated to me that when he decided to open this institute, he invited all the big businessmen to come to the opening ceremony of this madrasa, al-Hadith. And all the businessmen, they came, and in that time they were, you can say, silver coins that were used as a currency. So they all came with their money, thinking that at the end of the ceremony, Shaykh ar-Rahman, the businessman, would ask them for a donation. So after the ceremony finished, no money was asked, no collection was made. So the businessmen, they felt very upset. The other Salafi businessmen, they felt extremely upset. So the Shaykh, when they went to the Shaykh and they started complaining, they said, Ya Shaykh, you called us here to insult us. We have brought money to donate to this madrasa, al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah. He said to them, he smiled and he said to them, he said, listen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with wealth today. I am going to facilitate and finance this entire madrasa. Tomorrow, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the wealth away from me, then you are all present here to support this institution. And they all became happy. And then they left. So this is, as we can see, al-Hadith ar-Rahmāniyyah. Alhamdulillah. So this was the place for al-Mudhakara al-Ilmiyya, where the students, they would sit and they would revise and they do the research and everything. So as you can see that it's still in its original state. Some renovation has been made, but this is where the students would go inside and this is where they would study.
والزم شعارهم واحطط رحالك أن تنزل بسوحهم هم العدول لحمل العلم كيف وهم.
So this was the staff quarters where the asatiza or the ulama would stay. They've just demolished all the houses. This whole building was allocated for the asatiza or for the ulama to stay here. As you can see that there is a minaret of that masjid. That is the masjid which was built by the Ahlul Hadith, and Shaykh Abdullah al-Qar'awi was appointed as the Imam of that masjid whilst he was studying here, because he used to have a beautiful voice. They say his recitation was beautiful, rahimahullah. And like I mentioned, that Shaykh Abdullah al-Qar'awi was from Jizan. He is the teacher of Hafidh al-Hakami. Hafidh al-Hakami is the teacher of Shaykh Ahmad ibn Yahya Najmi. Shaykh Ahmad ibn Yahya Najmi is the teacher of Shaykh Rabi and Shaykh Zayd Madkhali and other scholars. So sadly to say, this masjid has been hijacked and has been taken away, was taken away from the Ahlul Hadith, and the Barelwis are now, as they do wherever they are, they cause havoc and they took the masjid by force from the Ahlul Hadith. But that is a masjid that was built during that time. And that's where Shaykh Abdullah al-Qar'awi, when he came to study here, he used to lead the people in congregation. So this is the wudu, the mawadi, the wuzu khana, like they say. This is in the same place exactly where it was when the masjid was built. And this is the masjid which has been renovated. And this is the masjid that was built by the Ahlul Hadith, which is now under the control of the Barelwis. As you can see, this has been renovated. Shaykh Abdullah al-Qar'awi used to lead the prayers here from Jizan as Arab Sahib. So as you can see here, opposite, this is where the ice factory used to be. Now there's a story about the ice factory, is that once there were some guests that had come to al-Hadith Rahmāniyyah, and Shaykh Rahman, he sent one of the students to go get some ice. So what the student, when he went to go and buy some ice, the ice seller used to be quite disrespectful to the students, and he made the student wait for a long time. After that, when the student, his turn came and he got the ice, he said to him that, why did you make me wait for so long? So he insulted the student and said to the student that, why don't you go and tell your Shaykh to go and open his own ice factory? So anyway, the student, he took the ice, he went back to Shaykh al-Rahman, the businessman, Salafi businessman, the Ahlul Hadith, and he told him that this is what happened with me, Shaykh. The ice seller insulted me, and he said to me that, why don't you go and open up your own ice factory? So the Shaykh said, is that what he said? He said, yes. So the Shaykh said, okay. The Shaykh called his accountant. He said, make an estimation. I want to open up an ice factory. So we are now on the opposite side of al-Hadith Rahmāniyyah, where we entered, and that is where the ice factory was built. So the students were given a whole factory was built for the students of al-Hadith Rahmāniyyah, so that they could have cold water, and that whatever if they wanted to have ice in their milk, and that everything was provided for them. This is to show how the Salafi businessmen, the Ahlul Hadith businessmen, would spend and stand with the Salafi da'wah, with the Ahlul Hadith da'wah, in order to spread it.